It's 11 p.m. and these are the headlines. President of the Republic Abdelmajid Tebboune presides over a meeting on industrial land. Army General Saad Shingriha, Minister Delegate to the Minister of National Defense, Chief of Staff of the PNA, honors military sports delegation from 2nd African Military Games in Abuja. And call for enhanced coordination between African Peace and Security Council and UNSC African members at the 11th High-Level Seminar on Peace and Security in Africa. Death toll reaches no less than 44,466 Palestinians as Zionist forces continue to bomb Gaza, attacking Jabalia in the north and Absan al-Kabira in the south. Since this morning, at least 30 citizens were killed. In Morocco, victims of devastated house earthquake still await assistance amid misused funds. Welcome back, everyone. The President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, chaired today at the Mouradia Palace a meeting on the industrial land. The meeting was attended by the Secretary General of the Presidency of the Republic, Abdullah Munji, the Minister of the Interior, Local Authorities and Regional Planning, Ibrahim Murad, the Minister of Finance, Aziz Fayed, the Minister of Housing and Urban Affairs, Mohammed Tariq Belaribi, the Director General of the Algerian Investment Promotion Agency, Omar Rakash, and the Chairperson of the Algerian Economic Renewal Council, Canal Moula. Following the meeting, the Director General of the Algerian Investment Promotion Agency underscored the importance placed by the President of the Republic on bolstering the agency's land assets, ensuring that investors have access to the necessary land reserves to realize their projects. Let's have a listen.
We
had the honor of meeting today with the President of the Republic to take stock of the implementation rate of the reforms he initiated and aimed at improving the investment climate, but also to discuss and benefit from these guidelines concerning the mechanisms and tools to be put in place in order to accelerate the pace of achieving the objectives he set out. The President of the Republic gave us a series of guidelines on what must be done to better support the needs of investors and their concerns. In this context, the President of the Republic instructed us to devote the one-stop shop as the only mechanism for investors to have access to all services and obtain all authorization they will need, because for him it is the only solution to remove bureaucratic delays and improve the investment climate. We have also discussed the mechanisms that the government will put in place in order to strengthen the land assets to meet the demand of many investors to benefit from land bases, allowing them to materialize their investment. Firm instructions were given in order to process this file and provide a sufficient number of bases to reach 20,000 projects decided in the medium term and therefore during the second term of the President of the Republic.
The Chairman of the Algerian Economic Renewal Council commended the President of the Republic's dedication to fostering and advancing investments. Let's have a listen.
We met today the President of the Republic for an important and fruitful meeting during which we discussed the economy in general, also investment promotion. We also discussed the creation of a one-stop shop to provide investors with quality support. The President of the Republic wants to accelerate the pace of this process with a view to taking better care of the economic operators with regard to 20,000 investment projects, some of which have already begun and others are already announced. We also discussed the importance of providing support for local investment projects, as well as the need to increase the value of exports and reduce the volume of imports. At this pace, we hope to achieve the objectives set and the visualized figures.
ولكن 20,000 مشروع سيد الرئيس حاب يمشيوا بوتيرة أخرى وتيرة أحسن.
In other news, the Minister Delegates to the Minister of National Defense and Chief of Staff of the PNA, Army General Saad Shingriha, chaired today a ceremony to honor the members of the military sports delegation who participated in the second edition of the African Military Games in Nigeria's Abuja. Najah Tayar.
This ceremony of distinction follows the highly honorable participation of the Algerian military sports delegation in the second edition of the African Military Games, where our military delegation ranked second among the 22 participating countries. In his speech at the ceremony, the Army General conveyed his best wishes to them following their victorious return from Abuja and their honorable participation in the African Military Games. He expressed that it greatly pleases him to welcome them in this symbolic ceremony. He also conveyed to them the warmest congratulations on behalf of the President of the Republic, Supreme Chief of the Armed Forces, Minister of the National Defense, and on behalf of all the personnel of the People's National Army, for their distinguished participation and their return adorned by results by which they have honored the army and the country. He added that with bravery and merit they snatched second place overall out of the 22 participating countries, saying that these are very convincing qualitative results, all the more so as they were achieved against competitive African military teams with long experience in this type of competition. He then stated that they have truly been the representative and ambassador of the Algerian military sport, and that they have succeeded in making a profound mark on the history of these African military games, with results that are perfectly in keeping with the message of peace and friendship contained in the slogan under which these games were held, and certainly in perfect harmony with the nobility of our noble national values. Minister Delegate to the Ministry of National Defense affirmed that they have illustrated through these distinguished results the great milestone that military sport in Algeria has reached in various fields and disciplines, thanks to the continuous and unfailing support that High Command of the National People's Army has always given to sport and physical preparation within the National People's Army. On this honorable occasion, he liked to take this opportunity to express his sincere thanks and gratitude to all those involved, including the technical staff and coaches who have given the notion of patriotism its full meaning throughout their determination to succeed, confirming in this respect that military sportsmen and women who carry Algeria in their hearts will not hesitate to achieve victory in any field. He mentioned next that the surest motivation to snatch victory and achieve success remains unquestionably linked to the love and loyalty to the homeland, being the very essence of the national duty sense and responsibility that we are constantly striving to instill in the minds of all ranks and categories of the personnel in the People's National Army, the worthy heir to the National Liberation Army. The Army General concluded by honoring the members of the national military selection teams before taking a souvenir photo at the end of the ceremony to immortalize the event.
And the 11th high-level seminar on peace and security in Africa concluded in Oran with a closed session held today. The discussions focused on enhancing coordination between the African Peace and Security Council and the African members of the United Nations Security Council. The A3+ group examined Africa's agenda within both councils and its implementation. A key outcome was the presentation of the Oran process, a guide to mechanisms for interaction between the two bodies. In his address, the Minister of State for Foreign Affairs and the National Community Abroad and African Affairs, Ahmed Attaf, emphasized Algeria's role as a non-permanent member of the UNSC. He highlighted Algeria's commitment to amplifying Africa's voice, defending its priorities and advocating for its causes on the global stage. Attaf further underlined the significant contributions of the session in addressing Africa's challenges and called for intensified efforts to end foreign interference, which aggravates divisions and conflicts across the continent. On the sidelines of the seminar, Ahmed Attaf met today with Mohammed Ibn Shambas, the African Union's High Representative for the Silence in the Guns Initiative and Chairman of the African High-Level Mechanism in Sudan. The meeting reviewed Algeria's contribution to bolstering peace and security across the African continent and explored ways to strengthen these efforts in line with the outcomes of the Iran process. The two sides also exchanged views and analyses on the latest developments in the crisis in Sudan and the situation in the Saharan Sahel region. Salma Bakhti Mansouri, Secretary of State to the Minister of Foreign Affairs responsible for African Affairs, met with Ibrahim al-Bakri Nayi, Liberia's Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs. And in line with the President of the Republic's instructions and in response to the evolving security situation in the Syrian Arab Republic, a crisis cell has been established today at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to take necessary measures to ensure the safety of Algerian nationals residing in the brotherly country. The ministry encourages citizens still in Syria to maintain continuous contact with Algerian diplomatic missions to facilitate a swift and effective response to any developments that may require utmost caution and attention. The ministry urges community members to reach out through the green number and has made available the contact numbers of the Algerian embassy in Damascus. And the Central Service for the Fight Against Illicit Drug Trafficking in high-profile operation by the operational units of the National Security successfully dismantled an organized criminal network consisting of 4 individuals, including a French national. The operation resulted in the confiscation of a large quantity of illicit drugs, 100.34 kilograms of cocaine, 89.86 kilograms of ecstasy, tablets and powder, 81.82 kilograms of processed cannabis, and 181 tablets of psychotropic substances. In addition to an amount of money estimated at 1,849 million centimes was seized, along with 2 vehicles, 1 utility vehicle and 1 tourist vehicle and a motorcycle. The suspects were presented before the public prosecutor at the specialized criminal pool at the Sidi Mohammed court in the capital. And Zionist strikes this night killed 2 civilians and injured several others. A girl was also killed in Jabalia and 2 others died in raids on a commercial store and the Al Sabra neighborhood. Artillery attacks on various areas including Saftawi and Burej camps left more casualties. And since this morning, at least 30 people have been killed. Rania Bahri explains.
The genocidal attacks by the Zionist entity in Gaza persist, with at least 37 Palestinians killed in the past 24 hours, including women and children, have been killed in an airstrike on the Gaza Strip since this morning, with 17 casualties in the central and southern areas. The United Nations has described the situation in the enclave as appalling and apocalyptic, warning that the conditions imposed on the Palestinians could constitute grave international crimes. The Zionist forces continue to use starvation as a weapon, blocking humanitarian aid from reaching Gaza's besieged population. Since October 7, 2023, the Zionist ongoing aggression by land, sea and air has resulted in the deaths of 44,466 civilians, the majority women and children, and injuries to 105,358 others. This figure is incomplete, as thousands remain trapped under the rubble or stranded on roads inaccessible to rescue crews due to relentless Zionist bombardment.
And the repression by the Makhzen is intensifying in the occupied territories of Western Sahara, with enforced disappearances emerging as a key strategy against the Sahrawi people. Dozens remain unaccounted for having been arrested or abducted by Moroccan authorities. Lahbib Laghrishi, for example, has been missing since 2022. Najah Tayar.
The disappearance of Lahbib al-Ghuraishi is shrouded in mystery, highlighting the suffering endured by the Sahrawi people. His family, devastated and seeking answers, directly accuses the Makhzen of complicity and silence, pointing to a series of kidnappings aimed at silencing the vulnerable population. It's been more than 1,000 days since he vanished, leaving behind a heartbroken family and unresolved questions. I wonder where my son is. I call on the authorities to find him. I don't even know if he's dead or alive. The Sahrawi women remain steadfast in their struggle, organizing sit-ins and protests to challenge policies of impoverishment, hunger and exclusion. Despite the legitimacy of their grievances, they face a regime that remains indifferent and unwilling to engage in dialogue. We've been here on sit-in for 2 months on hunger strike since November 13th. Systematic violations committed by the Moroccan regime aim to obscure the ongoing illegitimate exploitation of the Sahrawi land and resources. These actions are coupled with continued crimes against humanity that relentlessly target the Sahrawi people.
In Morocco, victims of the earthquake that devastated the province of Al-Haus are still waiting for the promised support. Hundreds of families living in harsh conditions have not been rehoused as authorities plunged, with reports of misused funds now intensifying a new scandal involving the Makhzen. Rania Al-Bahri explains.
1 year after the worst earthquake that Morocco has experienced for more than 60 years, the Makhzen proves once again its inability to act for the well-being of its population. Thousands of families in the province of Al-Haus are still waiting to be rehoused due to the lack of transparency in the allocation of housing. We live cramped in 2 tents. Our life has no value for the government. We demand our right to live with dignity. The recent torrential rains have took everything away. I have nowhere to go. My house has collapsed. As these images show, 12 months after the natural disaster, the houses are still in ruins and the victims still homeless. They accuse the Makhzen of having diverted the funds intended for reconstruction to benefit those close to the government. We demand that the government finds rapid solutions. We are tired of the indifference and the corruption that deprives us from our rights. The victims of Al-Haus earthquake do not intend to give up. They continue to demonstrate in Shishawa, west of Marrakesh, to demand the promised aid diverted by the authorities.
And that was it for today's news. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you soon.